Many thanks, Jingo. Now, this succession debate continues to generate public interest, yet the principal has not even hinted at leaving office. Names have been floated and even an imaginary queue drawn. Tonight, we unravel the succession question with Andrew Mwenda on Newsnight. Welcome to Newsnight. Andrew Mwenda, thanks for joining us. And very quickly, because we don't have a lot of time, let's discuss the succession debate. Yesterday, you did hint at the idea that there could be several names in the NRM party that actually are capable to stand for presidency and actually could do well as president. But you pointed at one direction. You seem to think that the First Lady is almost the most likely person and the most probable candidate that the NRM has in its bank after the president.
Well, let me put it this way. You see, the future is always indeterminate. It's very difficult to determine how the future can unravel. So we need to create scenarios. I don't think that President Yoweri Museveni is going to be out of the race for 2016. He's going to run. But assuming President Yoweri Museveni right now, God forbid, was not to be there, I just want to imagine what would happen inside the NRM. The person with the greatest political credibility or political network to within NRM to succeed is the Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi. He's Secretary General of the party. He has won 2 decisive elections within the party for leadership. He has a large network of NRM cadres across the country. So he's the most important candidate. Now, the other candidate who may want to flex her political muscle would be the Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga. Remember last year, opinion polls were showing that she's the most popular politician in the country.
This year.
Now, but you see, for me, looking at inside NRM, if you look at people within the army, the security services, and also many pillars of the NRM in the different regions, especially West and Central, who have had a lot of conflicts with the Mama Mbabazi, their initial aim would be to block the candidature of Mama Mbabazi, because that is a bigger threat. And then you ask yourself, around whom will they rally?
Yes.
And I think the most likely candidate would be Mrs. Janet Museveni, the First Lady. Why? Because she has a strong Museveni clan brand name. That's a very, very strong brand in Uganda. It has suffered a lot of...
You're relating it to almost the Clinton name with the Hillary Clinton.
The Obote name. Look,
yes.
If I was very close friends with President Milton Obote,
yes,
I can tell you, not in a million years, would Obote, if he got out of his grave today, would Obote have dreamt that UPC would have elected Miria to succeed him. Look, Uhuru. What do you think was Uhuru's strength in the race? Whether it was in 2001, the first time he ran, or in 2000.
Many would argue otherwise, that maybe the coalition that he actually put together with William Ruto would actually be the
yes, but whatever it was, but why was he in the game? It is because Moi selected him at that time because of his brand name. I tell you, Maurice, there is not, you see, people in Uganda here underestimate that. You see, if you look at the opinion polls that were done last year,
yes,
the First Lady was one of the front contenders. She has never declared her intention to run for president.
But
if you look at opinion polls that Monitor and New Vision have done over the last 15 years, you'll be shocked. Whenever they would ask people, whom do you think will replace Yoweri Museveni, they would always say Kenya, then the second person would be Mohozi. Now, Mohozi has never put his name forward.
We want to
for the presidency.
We'll move on to the president's son shortly, but let's discuss the First Lady. You said yesterday that she just doesn't have the vote of the name and, of course, the Museveni name, but she also has a backing of
she has many advantages.
Her religion.
Yes, she has many advantages. Within NRM, Museveni's brand name will be critical. But, most importantly, they fear many leaders of the NRM, Kahindo Tafire, Kiyonga, Bukenya, you can talk of Jim Huez and so many, Basaja Balaba and all those others can easily rally around her rather than her mama, for fear of her Mama Mbabazi. And therefore, she has a very high chance. It's not, of course, a close deal. She has a high chance of winning.
But that's now, not the only...
Once she has defeated
yes,
the Mbabazi, 2 things can happen. One, Mbabazi can remain loyal to the NRM, and then she goes head to head with Besigye. Because in the opposition, I think the strongest...
You still insist Besigye will stand?
In 2016?
Yes.
If
that was to happen.
First of all, I think he will stand. And 2, if I was in FDC, Besigye is still the strongest card. He's the most appealing single personality I know So FDC would just be committing
Why
political
would
suicide.
Besigye stand, yet he actually did extremely poorly in the last election?
Because I think that the opposition has failed to produce a figure that can replace
Would he
his
do
charisma.
better in 2016?
It would depend. It would depend on what are the circumstances. Remember, in 2011, Museveni deflated Besigye's balloon simply by not touching him.
So
Besigye has an incredible capability to irritate Museveni and force Museveni to respond with violence. And whenever Museveni is violent, two things happen. One, NRM supporters and Museveni fans get demoralized and do not show up to vote. But the opponents of Museveni get mobilized and motivated to show up and vote. Remember, in an election like Uganda, where people are highly polarized,
yes,
you have two things: persuasion and motivation. Because people are polarized, you don't need to persuade them on which position to take. You need to motivate people to show up and vote. In the last election, only 58% of the people voted, and Museveni got 38% of the total registered voters.
Yes.
Yes. You see, so the fact that 42% did not show up to vote, if that 42 had voted for me, right now I would be the president.
let's go back to our debate,
Yes.
and let's bring in the question of the president's son. I mean, this
Mohozi,
was
yes,
raised in an alleged letter written by General Sejusa, where he said that there was a Mohozi project. Is there something as a Mohozi project?
First of all, I should tell you, Mohozi is my, of all the very people I can stake a claim that I'm friends with, Mohozi is my very good friend. If there was a Mohozi project, I would be its chairman. Now, the fact that I am not its chairman, it does not exist. You can take that from the horse's mouth now.
Not many people will agree with you. There are those who seem to think that his ascendancy in the army and his links to the fact that he's almost under the presidency now and he's head of the president's security, he seems to be a man who's being groomed to actually take over.
My own feeling is that there is no Mohozi project. There is a M7 project. I'm sure the president recognizes that if he has anyone he can trust absolutely, of course it is his son, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
So I think that Mohozi's rise and place has been conditioned by two things. One, the fact that his father can facilitate him to be promoted first, and of course the number of courses he has done. So to that degree, Museveni is not promoting Mohozi in order for Mohozi to become president. I think that Museveni is promoting Mohozi so that Museveni can consolidate himself in power.
So would you agree with that, the common notion now that that's a rumor?
Because you see, if Mohozi is to be prepared for power,
yes,
I think that Museveni is smart. Museveni is not going to resign power today and hand it over to Mohozi. Do you get it? And Museveni is smart enough to know that he cannot conduct such a monarchical succession. But what he knows, if I were in his shoes, and what I think Museveni, the smart man that he is, would be doing, is to leave Mohozi in such a strong position so that he can shape his own destiny after the president has left the scene. Because if the president died, he cannot influence political succession from the coffin or from the grave. He knows that.
So let me just, my final question to you, because you said he would not allow a monarchical succession.
No, it's not that he wouldn't allow. I don't think that it would do. If Museveni, you see the people who have succeeded in such a project, like Nasingebe Yadema, like Joseph Kabila, like they left their sons in such a strong position to be able to take over. They do not simply hand over there. So he can leave sufficient infrastructure, but you can never be sure.
But then there would be this debate if the First Lady takes office. Same thing.
Well, the thing is that right now Mohozi is not in politics. So he is not even in the line to run within NRM. He's not even a member of NRM, I don't think he is, unless they hastily organize him. But the person I see who can represent the Museveni clan in the future politics of Uganda, if the president were not to be there tomorrow, it's Janet Museveni. And two, in a national campaign, she has a lot of advantages. One, she's a woman. She would attract the female vote. I do not know whether they have ever related to her. She's very passionate in her beliefs. And if you have read her book, she's also very critical of many things in the government. She would appeal to many people because she's independent-minded. But most importantly, she has an evangelical vote. She has the Museveni brand name, and she will have the infrastructure of the state to back her candidature.
Many thanks, Andrew.
That will make her the most formidable candidate in the race.
This debate would go on and on, Andrew. Many thanks. That was Newsnight.